Hello, kind people. For years, these Mexican mummies have attracted crowds and sparked controversy. Both exploited and cherished, the mummies of Guanajuato are at the center of a debate over the display of human remains. Guanajuato has been on the UNESCO World Heritage list since 1988, thanks to its colonial Spanish architecture, silver mining history, and sites connected with the Mexican Revolution. Its baroque churches, narrow cobblestone streets, and candy-colored houses look like a postcard. But the biggest tourist attraction in this central Mexican city is dark and macabre. An underground museum containing 100 mummies. Men with slack jaws, babies with wrinkled skin, and other corpses displayed under ghostly spotlights in the Museo de las Momias since 1969 have lured curious travelers for more than a century. To see the mummies in the underground crypt, visitors first pay a fee of a few pesos. These naturally preserved corpses, there are no wrappings or embalming here, from the 19th and 20th centuries, are both a source of revenue and a source of pride for this city. About an hour's drive west of San Miguel de Allende, the Mummies of Guanajuato provide the municipality's main economic income after property tax, says Mexican anthropologist Juan Manuel Arguelles San Millan. Their importance is not exaggerated, but the mummies are also controversial. Travelers from other cultures often find it difficult to understand why one of Mexico's most beautiful cities displays gruesome human remains. Some scholars believe the bodies are poorly preserved and improperly labeled. Earlier this year, plans for a glamorous new mummy museum were canceled after scholars and UNESCO representatives rejected the proposal to house it on the top floor of a shopping center. Yet all this has once again drawn attention to the fragile remains. Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology and History, INH, has just launched a study led by San Millan to determine the identities of the bodies, most of which are anonymous. An exhibition of delicately crafted photographs of the mummies by Michael James Wright is a highlight of Guanajuato's respected annual Festival International Cervantino, held from October 13 to 30, after which it will tour Mexico and abroad. These projects can honor the dignity of the dead and turn them into something educational rather than a freak show. How the Mummy Museum came to be. Despite Guanajuato's magnificent historic center, the Mummy Museum on the edge of the city is often the first place tourists visit. "I'm going to see the aunts," Mexicans joke when heading to Guanajuato. People stand in line for hours to enter the museum, shoulder to shoulder with street vendors selling charamusca, local cinnamon sugar candies shaped into all sorts of figures, including mummies. Mexican tourists view the displayed corpses with a mixture of curiosity and respect, but not disgust. After all, this is the homeland of the Day of the Dead. But for travelers from other parts of the world, I really have to put the museum in context, says Dante Rodriguez Zavala, a Guanajuato native and guide with Mexico street food tours. For Mexicans, this is not strange or frightening. We bring food to our deceased relatives on the Day of the Dead and invite mariachi bands to the cemetery. In the Guanajuato region, you will hear ghost stories about the origins of the mummies. Some were buried alive. Others died during a cholera epidemic and all were preserved by the mineral-rich soil. But to make people interested in seeing the mummies, cemetery workers began telling stories about hangings, despair, and witches, says Gerald Conlog, Professor Emeritus of Diagnostic Imaging at Quinnipiac University in Connecticut, who has studied the mummies extensively. The truth is simpler and reveals much about Mexico's attitude toward death. Like many public cemeteries, the Panteón Santa Paula followed a policy under which families paid an annual grave tax to keep their relatives' remains buried in its above-ground tombs or niches, which resemble stone bookcases. In 1865, cemetery workers began removing the bodies of people whose relatives could no longer afford the fees or who had no surviving family members. When they opened the tombs, the workers expected dusty bones. Instead, they found many bodies still remarkably intact, with skin, hair, and even tongues. The warm, dry environment proved ideal for preserving human remains. If the sun shines on the niches all day, as it does at Panteón Santa Paula, the bodies dehydrate quickly, says Maria del Carmen Lerma Gtmez, a forensic anthropologist working on the INAH study. Word spread about these extraordinary mummies, which the gravediggers leaned against the walls of an underground ossuary. Some still wore their burial clothes, shoes, or labels showing their names and dates of death. They quickly became both a curiosity and a source of money for the cemetery workers. For a small fee, the attendant will admit the visitor to the Chamber of Horrors, wrote National Geographic in July 1916. Spiral stairs lead down to the crypt, where ghostly mummified remains stand in grim rows, grinning resentment at the curious. Over the years, tourists stole the mummies' name tags as souvenirs, robbing most of the bodies of their identities. Museum guides and locals filled the gap with new names and colorful stories. A female body deformed by severe scoliosis became known as La Bruja, the witch, while another corpse was called El Ahogado, the drowned man. In time, they became cultural ambassadors of the city, both real attractions and imagined muses. The mummies fought masked, caped luchadors in 2 horror films of the 1970s and haunted an American couple in Ray Bradbury's 1955 story, The Next in Line. A new streaming series titled Pinches Momias debuted in Mexico in 2023. What will happen to the mummies? The INAH investigation began 3 years ago, prompted by complaints about the proposed new museum and alleged mistreatment of the mummies. Critics objected to the city government transporting the fragile bodies to out-of-town conventions and were outraged when some mummies were displayed in one of Guanajuato's underground tunnels during a car rally. As part of the INAH project, San Millan's team is examining 19th and 20th century death certificates, church records, and newspapers to identify the mummies. Forensic techniques, X-rays and DNA analysis of hair, teeth, or skin may even connect the remains with people living in Guanajuato today. They must be treated as human bodies, says San Millan. That means, he says, that if an unidentified mummy turns out to be someone's great-great-grandfather and the descendants do not approve of the remains being displayed, the body will be reburied immediately and without any problem. INAH researchers and other experts hope the new study will improve the way the mummies are displayed and give them renewed recognition as cultural artifacts. Modernizing the museum's climate control and storing the bodies horizontally rather than vertically may also help preserve them. These are simply ordinary people who are repositories of information about the period in which they lived. They walked these streets and went to the old market. They should not be a macabre spectacle, say theologians and historians. We will continue tomorrow with stories and mysteries of mummies from other parts of the world. May strength and light be with you.